I'm joined by Michael McGuire and Clayton Garrett, both producers on their film 21 Brothers, but Michael is also the director.
Yep.
And Clayton was the scriptwriter as well as an actor. And it's a really neat story. It's actually kind of a story within a story that I'm really excited to talk about because, in effect, it became a Guinness Book world record holder for longest single-shot film in history. And I want to get to that, but first, let's talk a little bit about the 21st Battalion from southeastern Ontario that fought in World War I.
Yeah, the film is based around the local battalion that signed up in Kingston, the 21st, and the Battle of Courcelette was one of their first main battles that we centered the project around, and we just wanted to do something to sort of celebrate and pay tribute to the men of our local battalion in our area. So it's kind of a local film about a local story.
And so, you know, you're filming something like this, and to make it authentic, obviously you need the historical rifles, you need all the clothing, the gear. How difficult was it to get that sort of thing together, Clayton?
Well, we got in touch with 46 Productions.
Yeah.
They did all our costuming. They brought in, well, they costumed 21 of us, actually. And then, of course, our gun wranglers came from Toronto and brought down all the Lee Enfields and a couple of Ross rifles. And
okay. It was shot right around Kingston, right?
Actually, yeah, I was from Belleville originally. Clay's from the Kingston area, and we actually shot on his parents' farm. Actually, his parents let us use their farm, and so we dug the trench there, built the set right there on the property. And so it's great of them to let us do that.
No way, because if you see the film, I mean, these are authentic trenches. Like they're what, 5 or 6 feet deep or something. So how long did that take?
Well, we cheated a little. We had a backhoe.
Oh, okay.
But
you didn't do it the old-fashioned way?
Well, our script consultant, Aaron Miedema, he really wanted us to do it with shovels and hands, and we ran a backhoe. But no, it took us. We spent a good deal of the first summer before we were shooting, just getting it ready, and then it aged over the winter, and then everything was ready to go for like early April, because we wanted to make sure that it had that kind of a sort of a dead feel, you know, or that sort of a mood. Yeah. And well, how many sandbags was there?
1,000. We filled 1,000 sandbags for it, yeah, and dug 250 feet of trench, and built the command post as well, and then from there we riveted some of the walls for safety and that kind of thing. And but for the most part, we had our historical advisor, script consultant Aaron, was on hand for most of that to make sure we were doing it as close as possible within our budget to make it accurate and to ensure its authenticity.
Safe to say you're not diva filmmakers.
No, no.
So I want to get to the Guinness Book. The film clocks in at 91 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's got the Guinness World Record for longest single-shot film in history. But I realize from some of the reading I was doing, you didn't plan it that way. You shot it and then found out afterward. Is that true?
It's actually the longest uncut film, as opposed to one take, and the Guinness just made that. We applied for the one take, but they gave us the title of longest uncut film so the cut is from start to finish. The shot itself is 91 minutes. The film with the opening and credits is 95 minutes. Okay. But yeah, we didn't plan on it. Clay wrote the script. Sort of, we built the story, and Clay wrote the script that flowed along nicely for in order to do it in one take. But we knew we'd be close to it, but we hadn't planned on it. It wasn't sort of one of our objectives. It wasn't until we were actually, after we were done, and that we realized we were right there at the 1 minute over the previous record that we applied for. Yeah, so
1 minute, that's not bad. Yeah. So when you're writing a script like that, Clayton, are there things that you're really conscious of to make sure the continuity goes, the blocking, and those sorts of things?
Well, I had to think of it as a play, maybe less as a screenplay, and picture the action. So I had to have a fairly firm idea of how the trench would be laid out, and sort of get our characters to sort of interact. I tried to break up each of their stories in such a fashion that it doesn't all get told in one shot, you know, that those characters move out of the action. And then the camera itself has become a bit of a character as well in the show.
Lieutenant Donovan.
Yeah. It takes a little suspension of disbelief there, because if he was there, he would have had a camera that was this big, and it would have, 3 minutes of film, but nonetheless, I mean, that was the reason why we went with that is actually. Historically, at the Battle of Flers-Courcelette, there was, according to Army records, war records, there was a cameraman there from Army Archives. Okay. So there is actual footage that exists out there of that battle.
And when you're doing something that's so long like that, that you're trying to do in one continuous take, would you say you lose any quality in the acting because the actors are on edge, they feel pressure?
I would say it's the other way around. I would say it actually adds more. What we found was we rehearsed in a gym for a month ahead of time because we were rehearsing in February, March. And so we were in a gym. We laid out chairs basically back to back to show the trench walls so they got an idea of the flow of the trench. And we had one rehearsal, I think, on the Friday before we started shooting in the trench.
Wow. So that's it. Yeah. One in real.
So I think that really added, the actors didn't have time to get used to it, so they were thrown in there. It was fresh to them, and I think the pressure of a one-take film helped.
It was actually a motivator.
Exactly, motivated, helped show the pressure of what it would have been like living in the trench. It was a different kind of pressure, but it came across on the screen as pressure, as tenseness.
Yeah. And what about intimacy? Do you find, and especially with the script writing, it's not like you can, cut, we're going to set up that close one, get right in on the actors. You have to rely on the cameraman to do that. How much direction did you have in the script for trying to get, close-up shots or those sorts of things?
Well, actually, a lot of that was set up during our rehearsal process for the 6 weeks leading up. We actually had the cinematographer at the rehearsals, and he rehearsed it just like everyone else did. Yeah. So it was during that process that Mike was able to sort of, between him and Clint sort of sorted, if we're roughly here, what's going to be the best shot. So our actors were given marks that, they knew that when this scene came up and that the camera was going to be relatively in this position, that they had to be positioned in this way. And so the first few takes, that took a little getting used to, but near the last 2 takes or so, everything was tightening up that way, which was good.
Right. And so with the Guinness process, how does that work? Did they have to come down and vet what you had done in order to ensure that it was actually one continuous take? What was the correspondence like there?
Well, we didn't have them because we didn't know we weren't shooting for the record. Yeah. We did have an option early on. We could have paid someone to come to the set and to view it then and to authorize it then, but we weren't planning on it. So what we had to do was have a showing, invite a couple of film industry people to certify so we gave them a copy of the disc. They had to ensure that the copy we were showing publicly was the exact same cut. They had to witness and sign that, and then they also watched. We had to send them a copy of the film, and then they did their checking that way as well, and so that's how they verified it.
Okay. I guess the one benefit to a continuous shot is editing at the end is a lot easier. Was it literally just, let's do some color correction, let's do some sound, let's tie the credits in, or was it more difficult than that?
Because we were doing it in a one-take situation, there was
no control
issues on every take. So we use sound scenes from every version. We did 4 takes plus our rehearsal. Plus we did one just wild sound. The actors went through the lines with just the sound, no camera, after the shoot was done, just to make sure we had extra sound. And there's one scene in particular coming out of the command post where we actually used sound from all 5 takes and just added it into the video of what we did and just built it up to get the right sound and to get all the right lines and dialogue in correctly in the right spaces.
I'd also like to thank the guy with the ATV who decided to drive through one of our shots.
You never know in World War I when someone's going to drive by with an ATV. So you're working with Factory Film Studio on the distribution, and DVD's released on June 11th. What other information is there that we should know about for where we can access the film?
Well, it's going to be available across North America. It's going to be available through Barnes & Noble in the States, Best Buy here, Amazon. Some retailers will have it on hand. You can also order through those places as well. check your local video store as well. They can probably order it in.
Yeah.
And
your website is it 21brothers.com?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And next steps in next projects. We were talking a little bit before the interview. You were saying you've got something on the go already.
Yeah, I'm working on a screen adaptation of a play that I had produced a couple months back. Kind of a take on Romeo and Juliet, but from the characters who are in the margins and usually in the background. So I kind of wanted to sort of see what Verona, the city, would be like from their perspective, and it should be interesting.
Nice. And is there anywhere we can go for more info?
As of yet, we're in script development on it. I'm probably going to end up, once we get rolling a little bit with it, we'll put it up there on the internet. And
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for now, everybody can go to 21brothers.com. Clayton and Michael, I want to say thanks so much for coming down and doing an interview with me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Great. Left-hand handshake.